your presence, oh Yahweh. Just wash me in the dam of YHWH. Create in me a clean lamp, Abba Yahweh, and renew your Ruach in me. Cast me not away from your presence, oh Yahweh.
Down on humble knees, Abba Yahweh, to feed us your deep realm, your word, your truth. As your malak speak to the house tonight, Abba Yahweh. Bind up every spirit that try to come against it, Abba Yahweh. As he feed your nation, where every folk on this earth, your Iraq, Abba Yahweh. This night, Abba Yahweh. Giving them the nourishment to endure this race, to press on just a little longer, Abba Yahweh. To not to get weary with faith, Abba Yahweh. But to stand still and see your YHWH work, Abba Yahweh. Then they get the victory, Abba Yahweh. They may enter that Melkut, your kingdom, Abba Yahweh. Touch those that need to touch tonight, Abba Yahweh. Oh, precious Abba Yahweh. Strengthen Abba Yahweh. Strengthen your people tonight, Abba Yahweh. For we know there's nothing that we could do without you, Abba Yahweh. Let us stand to our feet, nation. Precious Abba Yahweh, which is the Hashemayim. Kadosh is your mighty name. Your Melkut to come. Your will be done. In earth, Abba Yahweh, and it is in the Hashemayim. Give us this day our daily lesson. And forgive us our debt, Abba Yahweh, and we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, Abba Yahweh. For yours is the Melkut, the power, and the honor, Abba Yahweh. Forever, Abba Yahweh. So be it, Abba Yahweh. May it be fulfilled in the present mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. As your malak feed the nation tonight, Abba Yahweh. The deeper realm, your Emet, the word of truth, Abba Yahweh. The clarity, Abba Yahweh, that we may turn and soon and come back unto you, Abba Yahweh. Give us the clarity of the thing that we don't understand, Abba Yahweh. Making it known true unto us, Abba Yahweh. Baruch your malak this night, Abba Yahweh. And he feed us, Abba Yahweh, till we won't no more, Abba Yahweh. In the present mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach, I pray. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
You want to say greetings and shalom to the nation. We gather here for another Keetvay Emet. Simply truth of Torah that is revealed unto us in its simplicity, that each aspect is open unto us. As the Torah will use the word shotak, the wisdom of that is revealed unto us, that we can utilize that as a practical principle in our lives. I do want to teach. I do not want to procrastinate. I had said within my own life that I would teach a continuance from the teaching on Shabbat, on the word reasoning and the purpose of reasoning within our own mind, within our own concept of what is righteousness. You cannot reason from a mind that is not birth, Torah. We must have the life of Yeshua in us. And I was walking from the greenhouse one day this week. That just wasn't the message to teach, although it was prepared. And so the words of reminding and being mindful is continuously resonating in my mind. And I said, let me look in the archives and see if there's any teaching. And so as I began to search the archives, I found a teaching that I've never taught, that I put together December 16, 2010. I know what teachings I've taught because of the footnotes. And so as I began to examine that teaching from 2010, I read 1 or 2 verses. I could always check to see how many pages or the composition of a teaching, and there were 10 pages. So I started from that verse. Didn't want to see what was there, how then. So this is the results. It is vitally important, YisraYah'ale, that we remind ourselves to remembrance. Not only that remembrance calls us to be mindful that we may recall. It is almost like any instructions we get in life. We hear them for a moment and we tend to forget them straight away. We hear it, it goes out of our ears as soon as we hear it. So as I began to search the Torah afresh anew, my heart stumbled upon this verse here, Yeshaya Isaiah, in chapter 17 and verse 10. We must always be mindful. When one is mindful, there is an attentiveness. They are attentive. Not only is one attentive, but one is always aware of what is not, and there is a thoughtfulness when one is mindful of a circumstance or a Torah Sava, a command, an instruction. And when one understands that, they are very heedful. They take heed to that. And so we are not as mindful of the Torah as we actually think we are. Hallelujah. These are the words of the Nabi, the prophet. He gives us an illustration of truth that is profound, why we should be mindful. I want to begin here in Isaiah 17 verse 10. He speaks emphatically unto the nation. He said, because, now this is the reason, because you have shakha, you have forgotten. You have caused that concept, the thought of Torah, to be disposed from your mind, from your logic, from your thinking, from any activity in your life, because you have forgotten Yah, the sovereign master of your salvation, of your Yeshua. You have forgotten the one that has rescued you and put you in a position of safety. And then he says here, and you have not been mindful. We have not been mindful. There are reasons why we have not been mindful, how we have lost the consistency of that. You have not been mindful of the rock of your strength. Now it's important that we're mindful of YHWH. He is the rock of our koach, our strength of discipline, our strength of truth, our strength of compliance unto what Yah commands. So we have not been mindful of the rock of our strength. Therefore, Yah says, because of that, shall you plant pleasant plants, and shall set it with strange slips. How does that imply to us? We allow thoughts to permeate our minds. And then we allow an invasion of concepts and thoughts. They're strange slips. They are not rooted in the Torah of Yah. They have not come from the essence, the Dabari, the promises of Almighty Yah. So because of that, now Yah has permitted the strange slips, things that are strange when it comes to Torah. those things do not accent or give us wisdom of Torah, and because we have forgotten, we're not mindful, because we have disposed that, eradicated that from our minds, we're not as mindful, YisraYah'ale, and because there is no remembrance of what he has done and the greatness of his strength, it doesn't make us mindful, because we forgot from 1 second to the next hour. And so there is not the appreciation that we all truly think we possess, and we have. And my appreciation is much greater than yours. That's the way we perceive things. And we're absolutely wrong. There's a reason that we must be mindful. We must zachar. We must remember to remind ourselves, as one say, I need to remind myself. So I will write a note so I can remember. And so this book is a book of notes of our history and the legality of whom we are. And once we began to dispose those things that we ought to be mindful of, then there's a deep ravine that we all are going to fall into. What is it? Where do I begin to become mindful of Yah? Well, tonight, I'm exhorting us to be complicit to what Yah commands us. That we have this obedience. And in that obedience, we delight in it. And Moshe gives us a tremendous correlation here in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 9. This is where it begins right here. All right? Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 9. He commands us only, take heed yourself.
Yeah.
That's, we don't emphasize myself. We emphasize the fragility of others. We never emphasize ourselves. I must take heed unto myself concerning what? And your nefesh diligently. It must be an urgency. We can't do it subpar. We can't say that I'm taking heed of myself and then we falter and fall right back into the deep ravine of our own sins. He said there's a reason why you must do that. Why? Lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen. In essence, let me show us something that is so simple. When we get up in the morning, we look at the beauty of the sky. We see the brightness of the sun and the moon in its excellent. We walk away and we forget. And see the blueness of the sky or the cloudiness. And all of that should have or resonate that the one who does that, he's greater than I. He's much more powerful. This did not come by some happen chance of evolution. There is one that is intelligent, most powerful, that makes the skies blue and cause the clouds to gather and cause rain out of his treasure chest to fall. And then he says, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they soar. They depart. Once they depart, they don't depart to return. Lest they depart from your love. You see, this explains they don't return all the days of your life. It is not something that you're not mindful of, and that when that thing, we're not reminding ourselves to remember. That's why we live the way we do, to remind one another. That's wrong, my friend. You're shallow. I know your problem. You got a problem with what I say. Come on, my friend. So we must constantly be reminded, because we don't want to forget. Because if we forget those things, if we shakha, we remove them from our thoughts. Moshe says, they will depart from your left all the days of your life.
Yes.
There's a semicolon, there's a colon there. But he says, in other words, instead of doing that, don't forget, but teach them, your sons and your sons' sons. Teach the generations that will come after you. That's why we as older men, we're wise. We ought to be willing to teach and to show, not just by verbiage, but by example. There should be a delight to teach and to show and to care for the youth that needs the discipline of that assurance, and it's by experience how one has walked in the Torah delights. We must have a hafetz. We must delight in the statutes of God.
Yes.
What He prescribed, His hukah. We must delight, nation, in the judgment of Yah, because He does that for our reasons and for His promise. He knows what it's going to take for us to enter in, so we must be reminded to our remembrance, to be mindful. We must be mindful of recalling those things. Take me back. Bam, 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 bam. Take me back to the place where we must be reminded of that's been wretched and undone. We must be nation. We have to be. And because we have engaged ourselves into all kinds of frivolity and folly, we forget our purpose. And the reason Yah has established us as a nation, as a people, giving us instructions that will set us apart from every nation of people. That's what He gave us. And Joel gives us such profound wisdom of that in 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 2. He says this to those of Thessalonica. He said, I often we give huda or toda to Yah, not sometimes. He says, but always, for you all. Why? Making mention of you in our tefillat, in our prayers of earnest travailing and earnest thoughtfulness of you. Then he says, remembering. This is vitally important here. He says, we remember you all without hadat, without ceasing. We don't stop in our remembrance of you. You are never unoccupied in our thoughts, in our minds. Ceasing, he said, ceasing your work of emunah. Your thought or our thoughts of you, and I've seen the great emunah, the great desire for Yah. He said, not only did I see that, but I saw the great labor, the great work of what? Of ahava. I saw that. You don't cease from that. It is a continuous thing. And that is one thing we cannot cease from. Without emunah, we cannot please Him. We cannot cease from ahava, up to date, down, love me tomorrow, despise me the next day. We can't do that, nation. Not only in our labor of love, but our great patience. The ability to endure, to suffer the pains, to suffer affliction without murmuring, without complaining, without having a word of opposition to oppose everything. Why? Because of that, and patience of what? Tikva. We know what Yah says. He cannot lie. By His mutability, He cannot lie. We know that this tikvah in us, this promise of Yah, it's going to come to pass. Patience of tikvah in who? Our YHWH HaMashiach, where? In the sight of Almighty Yah, our Abba. And then he concludes this with a profound utterance here. Knowing Yah, you have experience. You understand. It is a clear conscience of this. Knowing YisraYah'ale Achim, your election of Yah. We forget that. I was very impressed with this word, ekloche, the Greek language. I want to define it, the way that it precisely shows us the election. It says, the act of picking out simply and choosing. It is like when going into the grocery stores and looking at all the oranges on the display. They pick up that one, this one, those. This is the one that they know that is right. They pick up several apples, but this is the one, or these are the ones. They pick up bunches of bananas, put that one down, but this bunch I want. It is not something that is haste. So we should know our election. We should know that we have been elected. We should remind ourselves that I am one of the election of Yah. He has chosen, picked me out of the millions and billions of people upon the earth. He has done that for me. And so because we don't remind ourselves of that, we become very dysfunctional. We lose our appetite for Yah. We lose our passion of love. And we don't know how to delight with each other, among each other, because there is nothing of substance in us. It's one thing about a billionaire's son. He knows he's a billionaire. It's one thing about a son or daughter of a multi-millionaire. They know that. They know that. And as the old ones would say, they will strut their stuff. And they want you to know that. We don't realize the powerful state of our Abba. Why? Because we're not reminding ourselves of remembrance of all that He has done, that we will be mindful. We're never disengaged from it. It is always in our minds and our thoughts. It is always in the bosom of our hearts. And because of that, we tend to forget. We forget from yesterday what He has done today. We've gotten 3 days ago His kindness of His great love. Now He spared you.
Yeah.
Raphael was telling me concerning her brother, the one that passed. He was my friend's age in the back there. And even my heart was broken. I cried there. I didn't let her see. She didn't even know because she was weeping because they were very close. She and her 2 brothers and her family was that way. And she says to me, he knew he had cancer. And I said to my Ima, as a young boy, he smoked. When I first met him, he never stopped. The doctor said to him, if you smoke, you're going to be gotten either cancer, you become a diabetic. That's what my mother was for all those years of smoking. Or cancer or some kind of disease of high blood pressure is going to get you. And so when he found out that he had cancer, he said to his brother, the one that lives in Atlanta, he told her to make sure you call her, please. And whatever happens, I'm not going to take treatment. I'm not going to do anything. Whatever will be, it will be. Well, my heart was so full of excitement and joy that I wept, not because he passed, even though that was a part of it. But if this man had a passion that there is a power greater than him. I'm going to wait. I know I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. Yes. That's why I wept. I said, oh my Yah, what? He shames us as Hebrew Israelites. He put us to shame. That he said, whatever be, I'm not letting them do anything to me. And she had never told me that, but that's all right. Now let us understanding to be remindful. And when one reminds oneself, it shows that one is mindful. And it is a constant upon someone's mind. How does one, or I know that, because I began the process by this construct, taking heed to me. Take heed yourself. Know when that spirit of stubbornness and foulness of your nature rise up here. You know it's there. Because your emotions, your physicality, and all of those things change. And let me say this, nation, you don't get by me. No one. No one. No one gets past me. Because I know you don't get past. We're great pretenders. And a pretender is a deceiver. And a deceiver is a liar. And our father, your father, my father was a liar from the beginning because he did not dwell in the Torah of Almighty Yah. Can I give us an example of without ceasing? Yeah. What it implies? Let us look at Dawid here. In 2 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 2 Samuel, I'm sorry, 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 12. One verse I want to read, verse 23. This is what Samuel, as he reproves the people for our corruption, he expressed it this way. Moreover, as for me, take heed to me. Take heed to yourself. He says, as for me, Yah forbid. He forbids me. He halila. In essence, let it not ever be. That is what halila is. It can happen. And this is what the Nabi says, Yah forbids me that I should sin against Yah in ceasing halal, in ceasing resting or allowing other things to occupy my mind to pray for you. You understand? We don't have that consistency. We cease from our prayer for YisraYah'ale, our care, our love, our kindness. He said, yeah, this is a sin. That if I cease from prayer. We don't want to cease from praying, do we? I don't want to. And it doesn't mean you have to come to the tabernacle. I pray all the time. I talk to my Abba all the time. All the time. That I will cease to pray for you. Why? There's a call that there's a profound clause in next, but I will teach you the top and the upright way. We can't revolt against one that teaches us what is tough and what is yosha, what is upright. You can't revolt against that nation. And we revolt against that consistently, continuously. Teach you the upright way, not just in my verbalizing, but in the example, the pattern, my life, my energy, my execution of what tools Yah has placed within me. Use them to help build the kingdom knowledge and the kingdom truth. We are a nation that we forget. What happened 1 hour ago that I rebelled, I forgot. And I resist this love of the kindness. And we allow those things to rise up in our minds. You don't get by. We don't get by. I don't care who we is. we do not get by. Then he gives us a remedy in verse 24. Only yira, fear, honor, esteem, fear Yah, and serve him in truth. We must serve Yah according to what Torah mandates, not according to what you perceive, but serve him, he says, in truth, with not some of your love, with all your heart, with all of your life, with the substance of your life, your will, your desire, your passion, your labor, not only in haruach, but in your natural being, with all. You must give all. You must give the whole of you. He doesn't want a partial. He wants the whole of I. He wants the whole of you. Kol, everything, the fullness of substance, our minds, our beings. He wants all. He made us and we not ourselves. Yeah. He can command that because he's a reward of them that diligently seek him. Yeah. So it's crazy for me to allow that folly of my own forgetfulness, that I don't even remind myself to be mindful. To be mindful of my activity yesterday or the day before, that I'm not succumb to that again in this day. So we must fear Yah, and fear Yah with all of your heart. He tells us to consider, to ra'ah, to inspect, to look. What can I inspect? The heavens. I look at the trees and the light. I look at the water. I'm impressed with all that. I look at the earth, the land. I look at everything. Let us inspect ra'ah, how great things he has done for me. Yes. Yeah. You know, he woke me up this morning. Yes. And he started me on his way. We must understand his way. Yeah. As far as the heavens above the earth, so is his ways from our ways. Sure. Our ways are corrupt. Is YisraYah'ale. They are selfish. Yes. Those are not his ways. We want to express me. And then when I express me, it is just a vile, repugnant thing. Stink, stunky, and every other superlative. That's what I am. Yeah. Worthless. Yeah. And with a dime, yeah. He's going to die. He's going to rot away. And the maggot shall consume him, just like the buzzards consume the deer you see hit on the side of the highway. It's a fact. Yeah. It's a fact. Then he gives us a warning in verse 25. But if you shall still do, fashion yourself, your conscience to do wickedly. 1 Samuel 12:25. If you shall fashion yourself to do wickedly, you shall be consumed. He's talking to a nation. Both you and your melech, the messenger, the king that I placed before you to guide you. YHWH is our king. And he guides us, and he shows us, and he sets up the safe houses. What safe house? Well, the house of fear, the house of wisdom, the house of achava. He sets up those, that we may dwell in the midst of those abodes, and that we may be strengthened. And what? In his truth, in his fear. Yes. And that we can, without a shadow of a doubt, know that all is well. Yeah. We must remind ourselves of what? Not me reminded of your history, but mine. That's why I've never liked testimonies, because it is the same egurgitated vomit that everyone thinks that their testimony is much more splendid, superb than someone else's. And they will begin to add more to that testimony. It's just a lie. Yeah. I've never liked them. And then they began to tell their business. I don't need to know your business. because it gives one the idea that my life wasn't like that, so I wasn't as bad as you. And that's the way we think. But this is what Dawid tells us. Take me back. I can look at it, yeah, but I don't want to be a part of it. I'm reminded of me. I'm not reminded of her or him or you. I always remind myself constantly of me. And when I see things out of order in she, I will let her know. But look at what Dawid the Melech, the king, says to us. The writings of these words, which is YHWH. Tehillim, Psalm 78 and verse 10. Tehillim 78 and verse 10. This is the accusation against you, against me, against the nation. First of all, our history, that we have not kept the breath of Yah. His alliance, His allegiance, our faithfulness. He is faithful. But we have not been faithful. We have not kept the breath of Yah. And we have mo'ain. We have refused. And mo'ain gives us the indication it is a mindset that utterly speaks with the volume of its disdain for Yah. Say, I will not. You can't make me. You cannot make me do it. An example, my mother would put the rod to me, although you may think I didn't get a spanking. I got a whooping, not a whipping, but a whooping. You understand? And one of the most irritating things that causes circumstance to be volatile is when I was stubborn. You're not going to break me. I recall she dropping that drop cord on me that day, that I had made it up in my mind I was not going to cry. The first one came. The second one, the third one, you looked at. The fifth one, yeah. And when she saw the brokenness of that nature, she would turn to relent. And that's the way we is. Yes. We're stubborn. Yes. We're stubborn. Yes. We are a stubborn, hearted people. Yes. Who are you talking to? Examine yourself. Yes. Take heed. I'm talking to I'm talking to you. Yes. That's the way we is. You understand? So Dawid says, they have kept not the breath of Yah, and they aim to walk in His Torah, and forgot His works, His alillah, the deeds, and the great things He has done. When you look, I look at that pile of those pine trees, and I say to the Achim, I think I can build a house out of that. It's enough wood. I just need me a mill to mill the wood, and a building so we can mill. But Yah's going to bless us to do that. And that's a fact. And I look at that magnificent pile of wood and the gigantousness of those trees, and then I can appreciate the I say, and I counted the other day, I said there are 30 trees here that need to be taken down. And we're going to get it done, all right? I want this place to be beautiful. I want it to represent the very presence of Yahshua HaMashiach. He says this, we have forgotten the works of Yah and His wonders that He has shown them. And I thought, when I read that narrative, I thought about how the children, when they see, or they're even a perception of a rainbow, they delight in that. And I watch them as tomorrow night is the 9th, the new moon night. I watch them in their excitement when we get out here and look for the new moon. I watch them and they are excited just to see that. I see the moon, and for a whole week they all would tell me, Poppy, I saw the moon. Look at it. That's not the one we're looking for. little one that is difficult to see unless there's a clear night looking for the ninth moon on tomorrow, all right? So just looking at the wonders of Yah and the excellence of the sun, when you look at that magnificent thing, and I like to look at it, because I know it makes my eyes healthy just to get, I know what we've been taught. But every now and then I'll just do that and see how long I know what I'm doing, all right? We have been told so many different things. We have no idea. We have no thought. When the SU in the Son of Sadiq shine upon us, he heals us. He's brighter than that. He's brighter than that. So we as a nation, we cannot forget his works. When you look at a blade of grass, you know that it has no ability without the DNA of Yah in that blade of grass. When you look at the vastness of the land and the creation of Yah, we forget that. We easily forget that. And because we forget those things, then we don't remind ourselves. And so by not reminding ourselves, we're not mindful, we're not aware, we're not cognizant of that consciousness of Yah and all that he has done in his great creation. And once we become that way, as Shaul said to the Thessalonians, we will not continue or cease in the great emunah, the great love, and the great kindness, and then that will cease among us. It will be removed from our minds and our actions, our activities. We will segregate, we will descend from each other. We don't want to be around each other. It's just a fact of the matter. I want to show us one of the most prolific activities that cause us to forget. Yah said this will cause you to forget more than anything. Dibarim, in the writing of Deuteronomy, Dibarim, chapter 4, verse 23. Look at what Yah commands us by the voice of Moshe. Again, he tells us, command us to take heed to yourself. Yes. You must shama. You must watch yourself, your language, your actions, your activity. I'm very careful in that. I don't go around where I go. I'm very cognizant. I watch myself. How I engage, how I talk, I'm very careful with that. You understand that? Why? Because we're not conscious of how vile I am, we will forget the breath, the covenant of Yah, your Abba, which Yah made with us. And then we will began to make graven images. We began to create gods in our minds and our monuments of our God worship. I don't care what it is. Our time will be spent on that which is frivolous and false. It doesn't give any kind of gain at all. Elisha began to make graven images or the likeness of many things which Yah has suffered. He has forbidden, he has forbade us, he has given order of that command. He has commanded us, don't do that. Don't do that. We must always remind myself to be in remembrance. To be in remembrance of the great things of Yah, that I will be mindful of him. He doesn't cease from my mind. He's a constant. And he's always there. My thoughts, my works, my answers, my care, my compassion. It must be that way, nation. It must be that way. I hear from people that no one is serving Yah, just myself. That's not so. And because I have segregated myself, and I've reduced Yah's world down to my little world, you're not going. There are people around you, you don't even know them. And I reduce myself to my world. I think that I'm the only one. That's why it's not an excellent thing for a man to be alone. For me, with just my family, and we got the right course to go. That's wrong. I don't ever want to be like that. I said to my Israel the other day, I said, I enjoyed you and me, but I long to be in fellowship with others. I didn't like being by myself. We didn't celebrate the pagan days or nothing like that, but I longed to have the fellowship of YisraYah'ale, and we would enjoy each other. We would, it was an exciting time. But I said, Ima, I wanted to be with others. I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be an island. As we were singing the song, no man is an island. I didn't want to be an island. I didn't want to be by myself. I wanted others with me. I wanted the fellowship. I said, Ima, I have never dealt with men like they dealt with me, because I know there are things they didn't know. And my disagreement with them was profound. But I never allowed that to inject any kind of attitude or disposition against them. You all that have been with me, just a few here, you few. I brought men in that our doctrines were diametrically opposed. But I knew when they came there, they were going to speak right. I knew that. So I don't separate from a man because of that, but I will separate from any man because of his evil, sadistic, wicked ways. But I know he doesn't care for me. But I know there is no compassion. Can I say this to us, nation? If I don't care for him, I can't care for her. If I can't care for her, I can't care for her. If I can't care for her, I can't care for you. You understand? It's just a fact of the matter. We have learned the ways of the heathens quite well. This is a wicked generation. It's stubborn because they don't take heed to one's self. Why? Because no one wants anyone to speak to them and to show them their ills, their immaturity, and their smallish ways. No one. I have no problem with that. But you're going to make sure you show me my smallness. You better make sure that you're gigantual, and that you have proven by your, not just your verbiage, but by your actions. Because I'm not going to let you get by unless you do that. And that's a fact of the matter. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And so what is one thing that, there is something that I must be cognizant and conscious of. And if I am not aware of that, what do you think that is? Well, listen, or let's go to Deuteronomy, Devarim chapter 8 quickly. We must do this, Devarim 8:11, beginning at taking heed to ourselves. But this is what the Torah says in Devarim 8:11. He tells us to beware, Shema, to what? Be careful, to watch, that you shachah, that you forget not Yah, your Abba. We have to watch our minds in the morning, our will. We have to watch ourselves constantly. And don't tell me that he's on your mind all the time when there is foolishness and child play and sporting and folly. Don't tell me he's on our mind. He's not. You don't know in that boat that quick. It's over with. You don't get a chance to get it right. I never could understand that one. Deathbed salvation. I never bought it. I never purchased that. You know why? Because as a young man, the word so profoundly spoke to my heart. How can one that has never known the Most High, how are you going to trust him? And you're in the crux of death, and you're going to say, same he did. And the words came so profoundly. You don't know your Father, do you? I don't. In order for you to know him, you must seek him out. You must search the records, the birth certificates, and all those things. You must search out the records. You must contact, you must engage. You must do that. You must spend time gathering all of the factual things. And the more you learn, the more comfortable you become. You know that you're on the right road. You know you're going in the direction to find my Father. And then once you find him, you got to learn him. You got to see. And you got to see the features, whether they're physiological, whether they are a presence and looks, that whether you are his child. And so you can't have in a deathbed salvation. It's a lie of deception. You're right, but you're wrong. And if you're wrong, you're going to be wrong when you die. You're right in his way, you'll be right. Beware that you forget. Not YHWH. You will know that you have forgotten him by this pattern, in not keeping his mitzvot. You will know that you've forgotten him when you're not keeping his commandments. But you don't know what the Torah hinges upon: loving Yah with everything we have, and me loving you like myself. Upon these two instructions hinge everything that was written from Bereshit to Giryama. You must have that. And you will know that we have forgotten Yah because we're not keeping the commandments of Yah. Shabbat, remember the Shabbat? Set it apart and keep it set apart from all other days. You shall not take the name of YHWH in vain. He that does so shall not be guiltless. You call upon Allah, he has a name. And his name is truth. You call upon Allah a figment of some kind of suppressive spirit that has suppressed you and this violent thing they have put before you, and say, this is your Jesus. That white devil is not my Jesus. He is not YHWH. It's a lie. Just like the sight. You know, I'm a student of things, and I was gathering information just on St. Nicholas. And the reason what his role was, where he was from, he was actually from Turkey. That's where the story began. That's where the falsity of the story began. And all of what he did, it's not the most pleasant thing. Almost criminality. That's a fact. Yet that has been incorporated in one of the most damnable lies that will be celebrated throughout most of the known world, December the 21st. Some may celebrate it in January, some later or between December and January, because in Russia, places like the Baltic, they do it differently. But it's a lie. And we have to call a lie. I don't give a damn. If it's a white lie, it's a white lie. It's a black lie, it's a black lie. Well, I can tell a little white lie. I'm old enough to remember that phraseology. You must call it a lie because it's a lie. Let me move on. He said, in not keeping the commandments of Yah, and not only his commandment, this is one thing we never keep. He in Devarim 8:11. He said, his mishpatim. Do we keep judgment earnestly and honestly? Do we judge myself with the same fervor I judge you? Do we place judgment upon you different than I place upon you? We must guard Shana. We must keep judgment. We must keep judgment, and we don't love judgment. And that's why we forget the oneness of Yah. He's going to judge. He is known, or he make himself known unto us because he judges us. Because if he doesn't judge us and correct us, then we're the mamzir, we're bastards. We're not the sons and the daughters of YisraYah'ale, and we must keep judgment. We must guard ourselves with judgment. That's what taking heed is. You judge, you're wrong. And you tell yourself you're wrong. Yes. You're a liar. I talk to me that way. You may not. I talk to me that way all the time. Even if I haven't lied, I still talk to me that way all the time. That's a fact, whether you buy it or not. I talk to myself of the content of my wickedness. You're wicked, evil man.
Yes.
I say to you all the time, he knows I'm that man. Kill me. Don't ever kill me. I'd rather die than sin egregiously against my Abba.
Yes.
Kill me. I talk to him that way. I know you may think that, oh, he's tending to exaggerate. Well, I'm lying then. No, that's the way I talk. That's the way I talk to my Abba. Kill me. I mean it, yeah. Kill me. Kill me. I'd rather kill me. If a man that didn't even know y'all said, I'm going to take the route, I'm not fearful of dying. You may be, but I am not. Hallelujah. And I'm going to talk about it, whether you like it or not. Turn off the YouTube, the radio. Find you someone else, because you're chicken little. You're coward. You're coward. You're going to die. By some reason you may reach what they call a sanitarian. There are not many that reach that age. They're broken. They can't walk. I want to go when it's time to go. I want to walk until it's that time when I can't walk. Take me, y'all. I'm not a coward. I stand in this. It's either I have confidence to believe it or I don't. Yeah. I'm just a false, fake liar. That I'm not. That I'm not. And so we have to understand there's a course that we must take so that we don't forget. And that we are mindful. This is the course. 2 Peter chapter 3. I want to begin in verse 1. This is the course that I should take. Now you may have another course, but this is the one that I would take. It says in 1 Peter, Keetvay says unto the Hebrew YisraYah'ale. He said this is the second letter of the epistle. He addressed them as beloved, a totally independent clause. There's a comma on both sides. He says, beloved, now I write to you in both. He says, I want to stir up your pure minds. I want to stir up your lachrinats. And this is a man that is pure. It is sincere. It is unsullied. It doesn't have trash and filth. The tentacles are not shut off. Your drain is not clogged up. And this is what the word alachrinats. This is the power of it right here. It says this: found pure, it is pure, when unfolded and examined by the sun's light. Do you understand that? It's found pure. When everything about you is unfolded before the S-U-N of Sadiq, the Son of Righteousness, then everything is revealed by the light and the brightness of YHWH HaMashiach. This is what this implies. You understand? He said, I want to stir up your pure mind, your pure minds by way of remembrance. I want to remind you. I want to inform you of those things that are vital. Look what he says in verse 2. That you be mindful. That you be manu'amah. That you be mindful. That you remind yourself. Nobody has to remind you to get up and to work in the morning. You remind yourself, you set the alarm or whatever. You have to remind yourself. He said that you may be mindful of the words which were spoken before you. We're not mindful of the words that are spoken to us. He says, Mother, Kadosh, Navi'im, the prophets, why we're not mindful of Jeremiah, Shemuel. We're not mindful of those that speak unto us the truth of Torah unconditionally, and they don't waver their lives. You see it, you can examine it, yet we forget. We forget very easily. Very easily, and our emotions Doctrine, truth, reasoning is much more powerful than emotions. And that's why we as a nation, we're given over unto emotionalism. And we don't even know the reason right. We don't even know how to function even right. I'm speaking to the nation. Which was spoke about these messengers, and by the direction from us, the Shalisha, or the masters, and Yeshua. Yeshua has spoken unto us the course, the implications of that. We go outside of that parameter. We must obey. And nothing is coming down from heaven. And you are king out there, daughters, talking about how Yah's talking to you. That's a deception. That's an evil deception you've learned from the whorehouse. Yah's not talking to you. If Yeshua doesn't speak to you by the power of his testimony, Yah is not wasting one drop of breath. Speak from the heavens to you. And he's not speaking in your mind or in your heart, because the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, who can know it. The Torah of Yah speaks. It speaks from the pages of the testimony of Yeshua's life. And we forget that. So we look at something, well, you know, Yah spoke. That's a lie, my friend. That's a lie. The reminding of ourselves of what the Torah said we were heard by the prophets or the messenger speaks to us. Nothing else. Nothing else. And the spirit of your corrupt mind may speak, because you independently, you in your independence think that you are the one that he's talking to. If that is not a monkey's uncle, this is how immature we have become. What has befallen a people. We must understand that there's a course, and we need classes how to maintain the ability to recall. I tell you all some of the events, even with my precious friend Zachi Timasi out there in Memphis. He would tell me the stories. I don't forget key words that people speak to me. And I can recall the preciseness of his stories. You all listen to me. Don't worry about reading, all right? You all lift your heads up and listen to the Torah, all right? And I can remember the stories that he talked. Is he asleep? I can remember the stories that he would tell, just like Imrafea, her grandfather, would tell me stories. Check on him. Hallelujah. Yeah. You scared me there, my friend. Wake up now. Wow. The stories, they were always the same. He never altered them. The words were the same. And I listened to people to make sure that those stories are always told the same way consistently, all the time. Your yea must be yea, nay must be nay, anything else, it is said. So what do I do? What must I incorporate in my life to maintain that ability to recall? Let us examine the great cries of Jeremiah. It is called Achan. Lamentations. Lamentations chapter 3. Verse 18. Lamentations 3:18. How do I establish this ability to recall, to remind myself? And that's what reminded is. You recall those things and they become fruitful in one's mind. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. This is what the Lord be in all of his great cries unto Yah. And I said, my continual strength and my tikva, it has perished. There's Obat. from before Yah. I'm glad of punctuation. There was no exclamation mark here or preciseness of a period. He goes on to say, this is what I do. Remembering Zachar. I remember my affliction and my marut, or my misery, my straying, my wandering, and our minds to wander. We stray away. He said, I remember all those things. You see, you think it's just me, but you don't remember how you have strayed. You don't remember how you have wandered. You don't remember all of your mischievous ways. So you are only you not examining yourself, then you indict me. You say it's me. But this is what the Novi said, I remember all those things. He says, and the wormwood and the gall death, it's going to come. The wormwoods and the bitter of death, it's going to come. All right? Then he says in verse 20, he says, my nephesh has them still. Through all of that, deep in the core of my mind, my nephesh, still have them in remembrance. We must have the remembrance to recall in remembrance. And it humble in me. This is what humbles us. Not because you think you're nice to someone. He said, this is what humbles me. You see that we think we're humble. No. We think we're very humble. But he said, this is what brings me. Yeah, my. And they still humble me. Then he says in verse 21, he said, this I recall. See, recall to our mindfulness that we remember. He said that I recall to my mind. Therefore, see, if you don't recall this to your mind, he says in that, therefore have I tikvah. Therefore, because I recall, I'm mindful of memory or remembrance. He said, because of that, I know that the promise is real, and I have this urgency and this ability of patience, and I love him to cause me to wait. I wait, although the death, the gall, and the bitterness of the wormwood, I still wait. See, we all know we got the answers. We don't have nothing. Unless it has been a diction of the Novi, the prophet of Yah, Shlishim, his messengers, and they must constantly remind us. Yeah. We're detesters of being reminded. We don't like to be reminded. We don't like to be reminded of our ways. We're not mindful. Take me back. Mom, 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 mom. Take me back to the place of sin where you pull me out. So we don't like to be mindful of our ways because we have become so pristine, so pure in our own way. We become filthy nation and we stink. Then he says in verse 23, he said, your kindness they are renewed every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I'm glad to get up in the morning. I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad to have a day of breath of life in me. He said they are renewed every morning. And I'm going to take advantage of every one of them. His promises, his truth, his love for me, his judgment, his correction. I will not have disdain for that. And we're a nation of people that we can say we don't, but that's the way we is. We have a disdain then because I'm a man. Oh, you little boy, you got to remind yourself you're a man. You can't be, because little boys always remind themselves they're men. I'm a man. The girls, they want to say that. They want to show defiance and that, Mom, I'm a woman like you. You're not even close. Silly little thing. And that's why we have to, we utilize that, and it is so juvenile and so immature. I know what I am. I don't have to remind myself who I am and what I am. I know what I am. There's nothing greater than that. When a man humbles himself for dormant, there's nothing greater than that. There's nothing, no one can tell me what to do that's going to kill me. We need to get, yes sir, my brother. I went and got me some wood today. I do things in a way. I know exactly how many pieces of wood I put in that bin because I always do statistical study on things. I don't care what I'm doing work. I look at time. I look at movement. I rectify movement. I change. I look at all of those things. And I said, I know what I put in there last year, the year before that. One of those tall bins, I know exactly how many pieces it takes. Now the ones that they're doing, they put between 175 and 200 pieces. I put 180 in mine. Well, I know what it takes. This is not my first time. It's been a pattern of that through the years. I count them. And that let me know how many times, how long 180 pieces will last me. So I do that with everything in life. I've always analyzed things and processed that information. I look at something, I say, I see what it takes to do that. I know exactly, I can examine something in a moment. I know exactly what it's going to take. I know what effort it's going to take. So you can't trick me. You cannot. Because there's nothing that I won't do, because I've done it. When it comes to the house of YisraYah'ale, and that's a fact. What inhibits me? I'm not talking about you. But what is the impediment in me that causes me, YisraYah'ale, to forget Yah and His truth? It causes my heart to negate what He commands us to do. You'll find the answer here in Devarim. This is you. This is me. Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 14. This is the reason why. This is what makes us forgetful. Right here in Devarim 8:14. Yah says, I've given you instruction. Deuteronomy 8:14. He said, if you don't obey what I command you, He said, then your lamp be lifted up. Your heart is going to be lifted up. Because you think you're better, you're greater, your heart will be lifted up. And you forget Yah, your Abba. And we do. We lift ourselves up above the commands of Yah. And then you forget Yah, your Abba. And brought you forth out of the land of Mizraim. I brought you from the house of bondage, Emet, from the house of slavery. This is what causes us to forget, because we lift ourselves up. Someone says something, we lift ourselves up immediately. I'm older than you. Oh, stop that. There's a man here lived here, and he was, I believe, 2 years older than me. He didn't like the fact, now you didn't start this, man, you moved here. And he had a disdain because I was 2 years younger than him. I could beat him in basketball. I could run faster. I could throw a football with accuracy back there. Nothing he could do better than me. How do I know? Because I played ball with him. I said, I would ask you one question. You got a problem with me instructing you in the order of what we're going to do here. Can I ask you a question? Yeah. I said it just like this. I said you was driving a truck, right? Yeah, because you had told me before. I would ask you one question. You got a problem with me. How old was that young white boy that gave you instructions and told you what to do? How old was he? And he was startled. I said, I asked you a question. How old was he? Did you have a problem doing what he told you to do? Was his instructions unto you, were they burdensome? I said, you're going to do what you're supposed to do here. The boy was 25 years old. Now he was 2 years older than me, and he thought that was monumental. That is so immature, true. So stupid. True. When I was in the military, The commanders and all, they were young. No boys coming out of universities and lieutenants. This is how immature I am. I love submitting myself unto others. Tell me what to do. He said, okay, well, how do you want to do? You tell me. Now, I will know when he got the precise way to do it. If there's something that's going to, you know, I said, well, if we do it like this, what do you think? Oh, that'll agree. That's okay. Whatever you say, I always submit myself to people like that. YisraYah'ale. I've always done that. And we're so immature. We forget what love is. We forget what judgment is. We just forget, all right? I want to finish this quickly. Hallelujah. Yeah. We must mature. We must grow so we don't forget nation. We don't forget Yah's way, His truth. We don't forget His instruction. And there's only way you're going to have that kind of attitude. There is no other way. And if there's one that could instruct us on that, his name is Dawid. He wrote the Tehillim of the Psalms of Yah. Here's a verse here. Tehillim Psalms 119 and verse 16. Tehillim 119 verse 16. This is what he says. I would delight myself in your statutes, which you have prescribed, the limitation. I cannot go outside of that. I must work within the parameter of what you command. He said, I will delight myself in your instruction. I will not, you see, you don't, you shaka. He said, I will not forget your word. So we'll delight ourselves in the commands of Yah, the friendship, the love. We don't delight ourselves in carrying and showing ourselves friendly. We don't do that. We deal with strangers because we don't have to see them again. And we think we've accomplished something beautiful. We delight ourselves in what is prescribed for us to do. You won't forget His word. You will not forget. You will not forget what your commands is. But you must have faith. It must have a pleasuring, pleasing flavor. It must bring that forth from you. We must have faith. We must delight in what Yah commands us. The Shaul takes it different depth here in Romans. Romans chapter 7 verse 22. We must. Romans 7:22, Shaul says, for I delight. We got to do it this way now. For I delight in the Torah. That is right, my friend. I delight in the Torah of Yah after the inwards man. Yeah. There are things that seem so monumental and so taxing. He said, but my mind, my nefesh, I delight in the Torah. The same thing that Dawid said in Tehillim, for I delight myself in the composition of Torah. What Torah is made up of. And we must delight ourselves in the Torah of Yah here. It must be from here. We must have that obedience and love. And we do that, we will not forget Yah's word. We will not forget His judgment. We will not forget His love. And that's the thing, we have to learn how to delight nation. We must do that. We have to. Because we need that source of strength. We need the strength to go through and carry ourselves on. And there's only way we're going to get that. And I'll go back to Dawid here. Show us how to get that strength. Here in Tehillim 119, verse 153. This is how we get it. He says to Yah, consider my affliction. Please deliver me and deliver me. Consider all of my trials, my agony, and deliver me. For I do not forget your Torah. I do not shakha. I do not make or give reason or a cause to forget. Consider my affliction. Even in all of these afflictions, I won't forget. I won't forget. In the smallest of what we think is an affliction, we forget. We forget. Because we forget the Torah. We're not reminded of what the Torah says. Who came in the volume of this book? There's only one. YHWH. He didn't come to destroy. I put together a message, Zorak, the other day. And I'm going to teach us that. It's a very powerful message on the death of the Torah and the life of Yeshua. I will show you everything whereby death was the implement of one sin. And yet the life of Yeshua, it's a powerful teaching. Teachings like that, I don't like to rush into them. I like to work on them. My friend got all kinds of posters made for me, but I haven't forgotten. We're going to start on that one because I want to go into the first of the year in that series. It's going to be about a 5-part, all right? I got it. Hallelujah. That's what we must do, YisraYah'ale. We must do that. Hallelujah. And I want to remind us all, when we sin, we go astray, we do things wrong, and we're guilty of that. You're dead guilty. We are. This is one thing that ought to comfort us, as Dawid says here in the 76th verse of Tehillim 119. See, we all testify like this. This is a profound testimony. Tehillim 119 verse 176. Dawid said, I have gone da'ah. I have gone astray. In essence, I have sinned. I have violently sinned against Yah, like a lost sheep. He says to Yah, seek your Emet, seek your servant, for I do not forget your misrule. Although I have sinned, I know that I'm brought back into my proper place. If I forgot, then the sins will condemn me and take me down to the gutters of hell. I just want you to consider me. Just, that's what he said. He said, I want you, Almighty Yah, my Abba, just seek me. You know I am like a sheep that is lost, don't even know what is the right way or which way. But there's one thing in all of that I know. What your Torah dictates, I won't forget that. I recall to my remembering. He didn't have a book. He said, I remember it. And so we need to sharpen our memory, YisraYah'ale, so that we can remind ourselves consistently and continuously. I want to close here at it is one thing that will keep us in remembrance. And I want to read this. How we can stay in remembrance. This is one thing we must stay in remembrance of. We must always put ourselves in a position to be reminded. It's in the writings of Jude, Yehuda, chapter 1, only 1, verse 5. This is what we must do. Jude 1:5. I will therefore put you in remembrance. That is to place this in your mind. We must consistently, constantly hear the reading of Torah. We must, even in the greatest of your afflictions and agony, there's no resolution. But recall where you are and how he has brought you even to that position and that point. All right? Yes. He says, I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this. There are a lot of things I once knew and I forgot them. And we forget our kindness. We get the love of Yah. He said, but you once knew this. How that Yah, having delivered the people out of the land of Mizraim, out of Egypt, afterwards He destroyed them that believe not. We must believe. We must trust him. He destroyed them that believe not.
Yeah.
And another king which kept not their first estate, did not serve out with great delight and fulfillment unto Yah. They left their first estate, but left their own habitation. He hath reserved into everlasting chain under the darkness of the judgment of the great day. Listen, he said, even in Sodom and Gomorrah, and all the cities round about, they were the same attitude and of the same manner. They gave themselves over unto every kind of nidah, every kind of unclean fornication. They went after things that they ought not to, after strange activities or strange flesh. Why did all that transpire? Yah said they are set forth for an example, a dichna. They're set forth for pattern, for us, for what? They're giving us evidence that what Yah says is true, for pattern. Suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. So he gives us the patterns. He gives us those patterns that we can be reminded, that we will remember that God doesn't change. And he is not going to allow you to acquisition, change the ram or change the pattern or the examples that he has already placed. He gives us everything we need. He gives us truth. He gives us Torah. And above all that, he brings judgment upon us. He brings judgment upon us. He does it through different patterns, through Musa, through counsel. When a mother counsels a daughter, that's judgment. When a father counsels his son, that's judgment. They do it in different ways. We cannot have disdain for that nation. So we as a nation of people, we must constantly be reminded of those things of remembrance that will cause us to be mindful of everything that is in this book. That it would transform, change our whole lives. And that's a fact, nation. It transforms us. And so we cannot continue on the path that has produced nothing but the same old kind of vile, evil, sadistic spirit that we walk in. We must change that. We must not forget the Torah of Yah. We cannot be a hearer. We must hear what the word of Yah says. And we must do it. Let it fashion us, shape us, form our lives, form us, that we will be in the same image and pattern of Yahshua HaMashiach. It must be that way. And that is for each of us, not for some, for every last one of us. We all must travel the same road. We must all go to the same pool and be washed in by the dam of Yahshua HaMashiach. There is no other way. May Yah's riches cause your heart to delight, and I shall delight in his Torah, in the truth of Mashiach. May bless you. You are friends that have joined us. May his riches cause your heart to delight. And those that you that I don't know, because I don't know you. I'm not your enemy, but that's all right. You've been my enemy. I don't have no problem with that. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And so let us rejoice, nation. I'm not going to allow anyone that has never, there are men that have never labored with me, yet they're going to tell me what I need to do. And they can't even, I tell you what, you come here, even at my age, I dig a ditch 12 inches deep, I know what to dig, 50 foot straight. Now when you can do that with me, and it's going to be level and neat too. I'm not going to just dig any kind of ditch. I want to be nice and neat and precise. You come in and do that with me. Then I'll sit down and listen to you, all right? It's so insane, this world. Everybody knows everything. I want to say to you, my friends, my listeners, you that listen, just a few of you all, even my enemies. Yah's not talking to you with some kind of audible voice. That's a fact. He talks about the power of that precious diamond from the pages of this book. We can believe every book and believe it's right, but this book we don't believe. This book we don't believe. When they send you instructions, when you go astray from that instruction, you put it together wrong, don't you? That's a fact. You follow that instruction precisely, you put it together every time, right? You put that piece on before you put that piece, nah. You wonder what happened. It's not working out. You got to do it according to instruction. And they started from step 1, don't they? Maybe 15 steps. You just follow that, you get it done. You follow each instruction. And he has given us the instruction of life, the book, the Torah, and you're not going to obfuscate that responsibility. You're not going to establish nothing that you think is right, because your self-righteousness is nothing but as a filthy rag. So you're not going to tell Yah, you're going to have to come his way and no other way. Yabaru, be encouraged, nation, be strong. Let us stand to our feet and turn toward YHWH. As long as we're in captivity, we're going to turn. And all things we do are above for the magnificence of your kindness, your healing power. We pray for the nation that you heal us all, heal each of us. Touch us in our bodies, our minds, our bodies. Heal your people. Your oil of refreshing flow upon us all. I pray for the nation. I ask you to look upon YisraYah'ale scattered abroad into every nation. Cause the power of this word, YHWH, who is the word made flesh, to go forth unto the nation, restoring them, bringing them back to their rightful place. And that, as the old ones would say, that is the mourner's bench, that we bow down and repent of our evil, sadistic, wicked ways. Bless YisraYah'ale, your people. We pray for YHWH, the mother above. We pray for the nation, our enemies. We bless you for all of them, whoever they are. We ask your power to rest upon us all. YHWH's mighty name. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
YHWH. Just wash me in the dawn of Yahshua. So wash me and mold me. Yah, make me more and more like you. Purge me and cleanse me. Oh, wash me in the dawn of Yahshua. Oh, wash me and mold me. Yah, make me more and more like you. Purge me and cleanse me. Oh, wash me in the dawn of Yahshua. Create in me a clean left, Abba Yahweh, and renew your Ruach in me. Cast me not away from your presence, oh Yahweh. Just wash me in the dawn of Yahshua. Create in me a clean left, Abba Yahweh, and renew your Ruach in me. Cast me not away from your presence, oh Yahweh. Just wash me in the dawn of Yahshua. Wash me and mold me. Yah, make me more and more